Jake Morrison's eyes opened slowly. Something felt wrong. The ceiling above him wasn't metal. It wasn't the gray panels of his ship quarters. Instead, he saw crystal. Pure, glowing crystal that pulsed with soft blue light. He sat up fast, his heart pounding. This wasn't his bed. This wasn't his room. The bed beneath him felt like it was made of light itself, soft but solid. The chamber around him was huge, with walls that seemed to be carved from a single piece of living crystal. Patterns of light moved through the walls like water. Jake looked down at himself. He wasn't wearing his standard issue sleep clothes. Instead, he had on robes. They were white and silver, made from fabric that seemed to glow. He touched the material. It felt real but also strange, like touching starlight. "What the hell?" he whispered. His left hand caught his attention. There was a mark on it, a symbol that glowed with the same blue light as the walls. It looked like it had been burned into his skin, but it didn't hurt. The mark pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat. Jake swung his legs off the bed. The floor was warm crystal beneath his bare feet. He stood and immediately felt dizzy. His head filled with sounds that weren't sounds, feelings that weren't his own, memories of places he'd never been. He grabbed his head. "Computer, what's wrong with me?" No answer came. Of course not. He wasn't on his ship. The last thing Jake remembered was going to bed. The Horizon's Edge had been docked at some alien station. Commander Griffin had sent them there for diplomatic talks with the Crystalline Empire. Jake was just an engineer. He wasn't supposed to be part of the talks. He'd gone to the reception dinner, eaten some strange food, and then gone back to his quarters to sleep. Now he was here. A door opened. Jake hadn't even seen there was a door. Part of the crystal wall simply slid away and someone walked in. She was tall, taller than any human. Her skin had a faint crystalline shimmer to it, like someone had mixed diamond dust into her body. Her eyes were completely silver without pupils. Her hair floated around her head, not quite touching her shoulders, made of what looked like threads of light. She wore a dress that seemed to be part of her body, flowing and changing color as she moved. She was beautiful in a way that made Jake's brain hurt, trying to understand it. "You are awake," she said. Her voice was clear and had an echo to it, like multiple people speaking at once but in perfect harmony. Jake took a step back. "Who are you? Where am I?" "I am Velazara, Queen of the Crystalline Empire." She moved closer, her movements graceful and strange. "You are in the royal palace. You are safe." "Safe?" Jake's voice came out higher than he wanted. "I went to sleep on my ship." "How did I get here?" Vela tilted her head. The gesture seemed almost human. "You do not remember last night?" "Last night I went to bed alone on my ship." "No," Vela said softly. "Last night you saved my life, and in doing so you bound yourself to me." Jake stared at her. "Bound? What does that mean?" Vela lifted her left hand. She had the same glowing mark on her palm that Jake had on his. "By our laws, by our most ancient ceremony, we are married." The word hit Jake like a physical blow. "Married? That's impossible. I would remember getting married." "The bonding ceremony is triggered by specific actions during moments of crisis," Vela explained. She spoke calmly, like she was teaching a child. "Last night at the diplomatic reception, an assassin tried to kill me. You saw the attack. You pushed me out of the way and touched the bonding stone to steady yourself. Your blood fell on the stone. You spoke words in our ancient language, though you did not know them. The ceremony completed itself." Jake's mind raced back. He did remember something now. A flash of light. Someone screaming. He'd seen someone pull out a weapon. His training had kicked in. He'd moved without thinking, pushing the tall alien woman away from danger. He'd grabbed onto something smooth and warm. A stone on a pedestal. He'd cut his hand on it. Then there had been light. So much light. And voices singing in languages he didn't know. But he'd felt compelled to repeat the sounds. They'd poured out of his mouth like he'd always known them. After that, nothing. He must have passed out. "This is crazy," Jake said. "There has to be a way to undo it." Something flickered across Vela's face. Sadness, maybe. "The bond cannot be broken. Once formed, it is eternal. Our consciousness is now linked." "Can you not feel it?" Jake focused on the strange sensations in his head. The whispers that weren't quite thoughts. The emotions that bubbled up that weren't his own. He felt calm when he should be panicking. He felt ancient when he was only 32. He felt connected to something vast and endless. "That's you," he whispered. "That's in my head, and you're in mine," Vela said. "I feel your fear, your confusion, your desire to fix this problem, as you fix machines. You have a good heart, Jake Morrison. That is why the ceremony accepted you." "My crew," Jake said suddenly. "Commander Griffin. Do they know where I am?" "They know. There have been discussions all night. Your commander is not pleased. Of course he's not pleased. One of his crew members got kidnapped by aliens." "You were not kidnapped," Vela said firmly. "You are here as my consort, as my equal. You may leave this room whenever you wish. You may speak to your crew, but you cannot leave the Empire. Not while the bond exists." Jake ran his hands through his hair. This couldn't be happening. He was supposed to be fixing engines and running diagnostics, not married to an alien queen. "Why haven't you just ended this?" Jake asked. "You're the queen. Can't you just declare it void or something?" Vela was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was softer. "The bond is already changing things. Your presence strengthens me. Through me, it strengthens my people. We are a dying species, Jake Morrison. Our crystalline forms are degrading. We have been searching for an answer for generations. And then you appeared and the ancient stones recognized something in you. Something we need. So I'm stuck here because you need me." The words came out bitter. "You are here because fate brought you here," Vela said. "Whether you believe in fate or not, the bond is real. What we make of it is up to us." Jake looked at the glowing mark on his hand. He could feel energy moving through it, connecting him to Vela, connecting him to something bigger. Part of him wanted to run, but another part, the part that had joined the space program to explore and discover, was curious. "What happens now?" he asked. "Now you learn," Vela said. "You learn our ways, our language, our customs, and I learn yours. We face what comes together, what's coming." Vela's expression darkened. "The ones who tried to kill me last night will try again. They see you as a weakness, an outsider who has no place here. They will come for both of us." Jake felt a chill run down his spine, but he also felt something else. Determination. Not his own, but bleeding through from Vela's mind into his. "Well," he said, trying to sound braver than he felt, "I guess I should get dressed properly then. Can't face assassins in pajamas." For the first time, Vela smiled. It transformed her alien face into something warm. "You are strange, Jake Morrison, but perhaps that is exactly what we need." Jake looked around the crystal chamber that was apparently now his home. He'd gone to sleep alone on a cold ship, dreaming of engine repairs and the next system to explore. He'd woken up married to a queen bound by ancient magic, and apparently Earth's newest diplomat, whether he wanted to be or not. His life had gotten very complicated very fast. The next 3 days passed in a blur for Jake. He'd been given rooms in the palace that were bigger than his entire apartment back on Earth. Everything was made of that same living crystal. The walls changed color based on his mood, which was annoying when he was frustrated because the whole room would turn red. Vela had kept her word. He could move around freely, though guards followed him everywhere. They were tall, crystalline beings who never spoke but watched everything with their silver eyes. Jake found them creepy but tried not to show it. On the 4th day, Jake finally got permission to return to the horizon's edge. He needed to see his crew. He needed to see Amy. The transport ship that took him to the docking station was small and fast. Jake watched through the window as they flew through the crystalline capital city. Buildings made of crystal reached up to the sky, all connected by bridges of light. Ships of all kinds filled the air around them. Some were crystalline like the Empire's vessels. Others were clearly from different species. The horizon's edge looked rough compared to everything else. It was a human ship, built for function over beauty. Gray metal, sharp edges, and visible engine ports. But seeing it made Jake's chest tight with homesickness. Commander Griffin was waiting at the airlock. He was a big man with gray hair cut military short. His face was hard as stone when Jake approached. "Morrison," Griffin said, no warmth in his voice. "Aye, sir?" Jake replied, standing straight. "My office. Now." They walked through the familiar corridors of the ship. Crew members stared at Jake as he passed. Some looked curious. Others looked angry. No one spoke to him. Griffin's office was small and cramped. The commander sat behind his desk and didn't offer Jake a chair. "Do you understand what you've done?" Griffin asked. "Sir, I didn't mean to. You bound yourself to an alien leader without authorization. You've created a diplomatic incident, Earth Command is losing their minds trying to figure out how to handle this. Jake felt his temper rising. I saved her life. The bonding was an accident. An accident that now ties Earth to the Crystalline Empire whether we want it or not. Griffin leaned forward. There are people back home who think you did this on purpose. That you're a traitor. That's insane. Is it? You're living in a palace, married to a queen. You have access to their technology, their secrets. How do we know you haven't been compromised? Jake stared at his commander. You've known me for 5 years, sir. I'm an engineer. I fix things. I'm not a spy or a traitor. Griffin's expression softened slightly. I know that, Morrison. But I'm not the one you need to convince. Earth wants you to come home. They want to study this bond, figure out how to break it. It can't be broken, so they say. But our scientists want to try. Jake thought about the bond. Even now, hundreds of meters away from Vela, he could feel her presence in his mind. She was in a meeting with her advisors. She was worried about supply lines to the outer colonies. She was thinking about him and wondering if he was safe. I'm not leaving, Jake said quietly. Griffin's eyes went wide. Excuse me? I said I'm not leaving, not yet. This bond is real, Commander. Vela needs me. Her people need me. And if Earth is smart, they'll see this as an opportunity, not a problem. An opportunity? Jake nodded. The Crystalline Empire has technology centuries beyond ours. They have allies across 3 star systems, and they're willing to work with us because of this bond. If I come home, all of that goes away. Griffin was quiet for a long time. Finally, he sighed. You've changed, Morrison. 4 days ago, you were an engineer who just wanted to keep the engines running. Now you're talking like a diplomat. I've had to grow up fast, Jake said, whether I wanted to or not. What do you need from me? The question surprised Jake. Sir? If you're really going to try to make this work, what do you need? Jake thought about it. Permission to maintain contact with the crew. Access to Earth databases. And I need Amy. Lieutenant Brooks? Why? Because she's my friend. Because I trust her. And because having a human face around will help me stay sane. Griffin considered it. I'll see what I can do. But Morrison, you need to understand something. There are forces in the Empire that don't want you here. We've been hearing rumors. Assassination plots, rebellion, you're in danger. I know, Jake said. Vela told me. And you're staying anyway? Jake smiled grimly. Apparently I'm married now. For better or worse, right? Griffin actually laughed at that. You're either very brave or very stupid. Probably both, sir. The door to Griffin's office burst open. Amy Brooks rushed in, not even bothering to salute. She was short and stocky with dark hair pulled back in a tight bun. Her uniform was wrinkled like she'd been sleeping in it. Jake! She grabbed him in a hug that nearly knocked him over. You're alive. Are you okay? Did they hurt you? I'm fine, Amy, I'm fine. She pulled back and looked him over. You don't look fine. You look weird. Your eyes are different, Jake touched his face. Different how? They've got little flecks of silver in them. And you're glowing. Just a little bit, but you're definitely glowing. Jake looked at his hands. She was right. There was a faint shimmer under his skin, like the crystal structures of the crystalline people were slowly becoming part of him. The bond is changing me, he said quietly. Amy's expression went hard. Can we stop it? I don't think so, and I'm not sure I want to. Jake, you can't be serious. You're turning into one of them. I'm becoming something new, Jake said. Something that's both human and crystalline. Maybe that's not a bad thing. Amy looked like she wanted to argue, but Griffin interrupted. Brooks Morrison has requested you be assigned as his liaison. You'd be spending time in the palace, maintaining contact between him and the crew. Are you willing? Of course I am, Amy said immediately. Someone needs to watch his back. Then it's settled, Griffin said. Brooks, you ship out with Morrison in 2 hours. Pack for an extended stay. After Amy left to gather her things, Griffin walked Jake to the airlock. They stood there in silence for a moment. Morrison, Griffin said finally, I don't pretend to understand what you're going through, but you've always been one of my best people. If you say this is the right move, I believe you. Thank you, sir. Just do me a favor. Don't forget you're human. Whatever else happens, hold on to that. Jake nodded. I'll try. The transport back to the palace was quiet. Amy sat across from Jake, studying him like he was a puzzle she needed to solve. So what's she like? Amy asked suddenly. The queen. Jake thought about Vela. She's lonely. Powerful but lonely. She's carrying the weight of an entire species on her shoulders, and she's scared, though she tries not to show it. You can really feel what she feels? Yeah, it's strange. Sometimes I can't tell where I end and she begins. Amy leaned forward. Jake, what if this bond is controlling you?
Making you think things that aren't real?
It's not like that, Jake said. I'm still me, but I'm also connected to something bigger. It's like being part of a conversation that never ends. Sometimes it's overwhelming, but it's not control. It's just connection. I don't like this, Amy said, but I've got your back always. I know. That's why I needed you here. When they arrived at the palace, Vela was waiting. She stood on a balcony overlooking the landing platform, her dress flowing in a wind Jake couldn't feel. She looked down at them, and Jake felt a surge of warmth through the bond. Welcome home, her voice whispered in his mind. It was the first time she'd spoken to him that way. The first time she'd called the palace home. Jake looked up at her and smiled. Maybe this was crazy. Maybe he was making the biggest mistake of his life. But standing there with Amy at his side and Vela waiting above, he felt something he hadn't expected. He felt like he was exactly where he was supposed to be. That night, alarms shattered the quiet of the palace. Jake woke to red lights flashing and crystal walls vibrating with warning sounds. Amy burst into his room, already dressed and carrying weapons. We're under attack, she said. Someone's breached the palace shields. Jake pulled on clothes and followed her into the hallway. Guards rushed past them, their crystalline bodies hardened into armor. Vela's voice filled his mind, clear and urgent. The throne room. Come to the throne room. They're coming for me. Jake ran. Amy kept pace beside him, her weapon ready. They took stairs 3 at a time, following the bond that pulled Jake toward Vela like a compass pointing north. They burst into the throne room to find chaos. Vela stood in the center, surrounded by her guards. But attacking them were creatures Jake had never seen before. They looked like they were made of black crystal, twisted and wrong. Their eyes burned red and they moved with terrible speed. One of them saw Jake and screamed. The sound was like breaking glass. It charged at him, claws extended. Amy fired her weapon. The energy bolt hit the creature and shattered it into pieces. What are those things? She shouted. Vela's voice was strained. Corrupted ones. Crystalline, who gave up their connection to the collective. They serve the rebels now. More creatures poured into the room. Jake felt fear spike through the bond, not his own but Vela's. She was powerful, but there were too many. Jake did something he'd never tried before. He reached out through the bond, not just to feel what Vela felt, but to send his own strength to her. He focused on every ounce of courage he had, every bit of determination, and pushed it toward her. Vela gasped. Light exploded from her body, brighter than Jake had ever seen. It swept across the throne room like a wave, and every corrupted creature it touched simply vanished, burned away by pure crystalline energy. The attack was over in seconds. Silence fell over the throne room. Vela turned to look at Jake. Her silver eyes were wide with surprise. How did you do that? I don't know, Jake said honestly. I just wanted to help. Amy lowered her weapon and looked between them. Okay, that was definitely not normal. High Chancellor Thex, Vela's advisor, stepped forward. He was old for a crystalline, his crystal body showing cracks of age. His expression was cold as he looked at Jake. The human strengthened the Queen's power, Thex said. This bond is more than ceremonial. It is a weapon. It's not a weapon, Jake protested. It's just a connection. A connection that makes our Queen stronger. That makes her a target. This attack was meant to test that connection. Thex turned to Vela. My Queen, the rebels know about him now. They will not stop until both of you are dead. Vela met Jake's eyes across the throne room. He felt her resolve harden. Then we must be ready to face them. Together. Jake nodded. He'd thought his biggest problem was being accidentally married to an alien queen. He was starting to realize that was just the beginning. 2 weeks passed after the attack on the throne room. Jake spent his days learning about the Crystalline Empire and his nights trying not to think about how strange his life had become. Amy stayed close, watching everything with suspicious eyes. She still didn't trust the situation, but she trusted Jake. Vela had assigned him teachers. They taught him the history of the Empire, the complex web of politics that held it together, and the language of the crystalline people. The language was hardest. It wasn't just words. It was tones and light patterns and emotions all combined. But through the bond, Jake found he could understand it faster than he should have been able to. "You're learning too quickly," one of his teachers said. She was a scholar named Lyra, younger than most crystalline. "Most outsiders take years to learn our speech. You've mastered the basics in days." "The bond helps," Jake said. "I can feel the meanings behind the words." Lyra studied him with curiosity. The bond was supposed to be ceremonial, a symbol, but with you it's become something more. Chancellor Thex is right to be concerned. Concerned or scared? Both, perhaps. Change frightens people, and you represent a great change. That evening, Jake met with Vela in her private garden. It was a strange place where crystal plants grew toward artificial suns. The air smelled like ozone and flowers combined. Vela sat on a bench of smooth stone looking tired. "Bad day?" Jake asked, sitting beside her. "3 colonies are having supply problems. 2 of my generals are arguing about fleet positions, and Thex gave me another lecture about how dangerous you are." She looked at him and smiled slightly. "So yes, bad day." Jake could feel her exhaustion through the bond. "Want me to leave you alone?" "No. Your presence is actually the only thing making this day bearable." They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Jake had learned that Vela appreciated silence. As queen, everyone always wanted something from her. With Jake, she could just be. "I've been thinking," Jake said finally, "about the bond, about what it means. And what have you concluded? I think we should use it. Not as a weapon like Thex said, but as a bridge. Earth and your empire need to work together. Right now, I'm the only real connection between our peoples. We should make it count." Vela turned to face him fully. "What do you propose?" "An alliance. A real one. Earth gives you our innovation, our different way of thinking. You give us access to your technology, your knowledge. We help each other. My council will resist. They already distrust humans. They'll see this as giving away our advantages. Then we prove them wrong," Jake said. "Let me show them what humans can do. Let me help solve problems. Show them we're worth the risk." Vela considered this. Through the bond, Jake felt her turning the idea over in her mind, examining it from every angle. "You would need to prove yourself. Earn their respect. I can do that. And if you fail, I won't fail." Vela's expression softened. "You have such confidence, such certainty. Is this a human trait?" "It's called being stubborn," Jake said with a grin. "And yeah, it's pretty human." The next day, Jake got his chance. The palace defense systems had been damaged in the attack 2 weeks ago. The crystalline engineers had been trying to repair them but were struggling. The damaged sections used older technology they didn't fully understand anymore. Jake asked to look at the systems. Chancellor Thex objected immediately. "The human should not have access to our defense systems," Thex said coldly. "It's a security risk." "He's my consort," Vela said firmly. "He has access to whatever I grant him access to." "My queen." "Enough, Thex, let him try. If he fails, we lose nothing. If he succeeds, we gain working defenses." Thex's crystalline face couldn't show expressions well, but his body language screamed disapproval. Still, he bowed and allowed it. Jake spent hours in the defense control room studying the systems. Amy helped, providing tools from the horizon's edge when crystalline equipment wouldn't work. The technology was incredibly advanced, but the basic principles were the same as any system. Power flows, feedback loops, redundancies. "This is actually pretty simple," Jake said, pulling apart a control panel. "They've overcomplicated it. Look, they're routing power through 6 different converters when they only need 2. It's elegant but fragile." "So fix it," Amy said. Jake rewired the system using a hybrid approach. He kept the crystalline tech for what it did best but added human-style redundancies and failsafes. Simple backup systems that would kick in if the main ones failed. It wasn't pretty, but it was practical. When he activated the new system, the defense grid powered up at full strength for the first time in weeks. Alarm systems that hadn't worked before suddenly came online. Shields that had been weak now glowed with solid energy. The crystalline engineer who had been working on the problem stared in disbelief. "How did you do that?" "I made it simpler," Jake said. "You had all the pieces. You just needed to put them together differently." Word spread quickly through the palace. The human consort had fixed what crystalline experts couldn't. Jake started getting requests for help with other problems. A water recycling system that kept breaking down. A communication array that had static. A door that wouldn't open properly. Jake fixed them all, often in ways that made the crystalline engineers shake their heads. He combined their advanced technology with human practical thinking. He added simple manual overrides to automated systems. He installed physical locks as backups to energy locks. "It's inelegant," one engineer complained. "It works," Jake replied. "That's what matters." Amy watched him with pride. "You're showing them what humans do best. We survive, we adapt, we make things work. That's the idea." But not everyone was impressed. Jake was walking through the palace one evening when 3 crystalline guards blocked his path. They weren't palace guards. Their armor was different, marked with symbols Jake didn't recognize. "Human," one of them said. "You don't belong here." Jake's hand moved to the communication device on his belt, but one of the guards knocked it away with a crystalline hand. Through the bond, he felt Vela suddenly become alarmed. She'd sensed his fear. "The Queen has made a mistake binding herself to you," the guard continued. "You corrupt our purity. You weaken us with your primitive thinking." "I'm just trying to help," Jake said, keeping his voice calm. "You help by leaving. Go back to your ship. Go back to your world. Let the Queen rule without your influence." "I can't do that." "The bond won't let me." "Then we'll break the bond, starting with you." The guards moved forward. Jake backed up, looking for an escape route. He wasn't a fighter. He was an engineer. But he wasn't alone. Amy appeared from a side corridor, her weapon raised. "Back off now!" The guards hesitated. Then palace security arrived, led by the captain of Vela's personal guard. The hostile guards were surrounded in seconds. "Seize them," the captain ordered. "They've threatened the Queen's consort. That's treason." As the guards were taken away, one of them looked back at Jake. "More will come. You cannot protect him forever, Captain. The corruption will end." After they were gone, Jake sat down against a wall, his legs shaking. The adrenaline was wearing off and he felt sick. Amy sat beside him. "You okay?" "I thought I was winning them over, showing them humans could be useful." "You are winning them over. That's why some of them are scared. Change is always scary, especially to people who benefit from things staying the same." Vela arrived minutes later, moving faster than Jake had ever seen her move. She knelt in front of him, her hands on his shoulders. "Are you hurt?" "I'm fine. Amy and the guards got here in time. This is my fault. I should have provided better security. I should have anticipated this." Jake took her hands. "You can't predict everything. And I'm okay." Through the bond, he felt her guilt and fear. He pushed calm back to her, trying to soothe her worry. Slowly, she relaxed. "I will not let this happen again," she promised. That night, Vela called a meeting of her full council. Jake was invited to attend. It was the first time he'd been in the council chamber. It was a huge room with a round table made of crystal. Seats surrounded the table, each one occupied by important members of the empire: generals, scholars, planetary governors, and trade ministers. And Chancellor Thex, sitting directly across from Vela's seat. Jake sat beside Vela, feeling out of place. All eyes were on him. "My consort was threatened today," Vela said, her voice carrying authority. "Within the palace walls, by guards who should have been protecting him." Murmurs ran through the council. "This shows the danger of the bond," Thex said. "The human creates division among our people." "The human has a name," Vela said sharply. "His name is Jake Morrison, and he has done more to improve palace systems in 2 weeks than we accomplished in months. He has shown us new ways to solve old problems." "By contaminating our methods with primitive solutions," Thex countered. Jake had been quiet, but now he stood. Vela looked at him in surprise, but she didn't stop him. "You call my methods primitive," Jake said. "Maybe they are. Human technology is centuries behind yours. But you know what? Our ships still fly. Our systems still work. Because we build in backups. We plan for failure. We make things that can be fixed, not just things that are perfect." "Perfect is superior to merely functional," Thex said coldly. "Perfect is fragile," Jake replied. "Your defense systems were perfect. Right up until they broke and you couldn't fix them. My solution isn't perfect, but it works, and if it breaks, anyone can fix it." A general at the table leaned forward. "The human has a point. Our greatest weakness is that our technology has become so advanced that only specialists can maintain it. If something breaks in battle, we cannot repair it quickly." "I could train your people," Jake offered. "Teach them human repair techniques. Show them how to build redundancies into your systems. You'd keep all your advantages but add human flexibility." The council erupted in discussion. Some were interested. Others were horrified. Thex looked furious. Vela let them argue for several minutes before raising her hand for silence. I propose a trial period. Jake will work with our engineers for 1 month. If his methods prove useful, we expand the program. If not, we end it. And if his methods prove dangerous? Thex asked.
Then I will accept responsibility, Vela said.
But I believe in him. I believe in the potential of our two species working together. The council voted. It was close, but Vela's proposal passed. As they left the council chamber, Jake felt drained. That was intense. You did well, Vela said. You spoke with confidence and reason. Several council members were impressed. Thex still hates me. Thex fears change, but even he cannot deny results. Prove yourself, Jake Morrison. Show my people that humans and crystalline together are stronger than either alone. Jake looked at her. Through the bond, he felt her pride in him, her hope for what they could accomplish together. I'll do my best, he promised. I know you will. That's why I believe in you. Walking back to his quarters with Amy, Jake thought about how far he'd come in 2 weeks. He'd gone from a prisoner in a strange place to an active participant in shaping an alliance between species. It was terrifying and exciting at the same time. You're really doing it, Amy said. Building a bridge between our worlds. Trying to, Jake said. The question is whether the bridge will hold. The trial month passed quickly. Jake worked with crystalline engineers every day, teaching them about redundancy and practical repair. At first, they resisted. They thought his methods were beneath them. But when systems worked better and repairs happened faster, opinions started to change. Commander Griffin had been right about one thing. Earth Command was watching everything Jake did. They sent regular messages asking for reports. They wanted technical data on crystalline systems. They wanted political intelligence on the council. They wanted to know if the bond could be weaponized. Jake gave them what he could without betraying Vela's trust. It was a difficult balance. He was human, but he was also the Queen's consort. He had responsibilities to both sides. Then the message came that changed everything. A crystalline colony on the edge of the Empire had gone silent. No communications. No ships had arrived or departed in 3 days. Vela sent scouts and they returned with terrible news. The colony had been attacked. Half the population was dead. The other half had been taken prisoner. A warlord named Kretch had claimed responsibility. He sent a message to Vela that played in the council chamber for everyone to hear. The hologram showed a crystalline unlike any Jake had seen before. Kretch's crystalline body was dark, almost black. Red light pulsed through the cracks in his structure. His eyes burned like coals. Parts of him looked mechanical, metal fused with crystal in ways that seemed painful. Queen Vela? Kretch's voice was harsh like grinding stone. You have led our people into weakness. You make alliances with inferior species. You bond yourself to a human, contaminating the purity of our kind. I cannot allow this to continue. The hologram shifted, showing the captured colony. Crystalline civilians in chains. Children crying. Buildings destroyed. Return to the old ways, Kretch demanded. Break your bond with the human. Execute him as a show of strength. Do this, and I will return your people. Refuse, and they die. You have 3 days to decide. The hologram ended. The council chamber was silent. We must rescue them, a general said immediately. It's a trap, another argued. He wants us to send our fleet so he can attack our core worlds. We cannot abandon our people. The council erupted into shouting. Jake watched Vela. She sat perfectly still, but through the bond he felt a storm of emotions. Rage, fear, desperation, and underneath it all, terrible guilt. Chancellor Thex stood. The solution is obvious. Give Kretch what he wants. Execute the human. Our people's lives are worth more than one outsider. Several council members nodded in agreement. Jake felt ice in his stomach. He looked at Vela, but she wouldn't meet his eyes. My queen, Thex pressed. You know this is the only way. Vela finally spoke, her voice quiet but firm. No? My queen, I said no. Vela's eyes blazed. I will not execute Jake. I will not break the bond. Kretch has made his choice. Now we make ours. We fight. You would risk thousands of lives for one human, Thex demanded. I would risk everything rather than give in to terrorism and hatred. Vela stood. Kretch wants me to show weakness. Instead, I will show strength. We will rescue our people and destroy Kretch's forces. The council dissolved into chaos. Half supported Vela. Half thought she was making a terrible mistake. Jake wanted to say something, but what could he say? People were dying because he existed. After the meeting, Jake found Vela in her private chambers. She stood at a window looking out at the city below. He could feel her pain through the bond, sharp as broken glass. "You should do it," Jake said quietly. She turned to face him. "What? Break the bond." "Save your people. I'm not worth their lives." Vela crossed the room in 3 quick steps and grabbed his shoulders. "Don't you dare say that. Don't you dare, Vela. Kretch is a monster. He's been attacking colonies for years, long before you arrived. This isn't about you. It's about him trying to seize power. If I give in now, he'll just make more demands. More people will die, but if I wasn't here, if you weren't here, I would be weaker. My people would be weaker. You've taught us things we'd forgotten. How to adapt. How to solve problems in new ways. We need that. We need you." Jake looked into her silver eyes. "I'm scared. So am I, but we face this together. That's what the bond means." That night, Jake couldn't sleep. He paced his rooms until Amy knocked on his door. She was wearing her flight suit. "Can't sleep either?" she asked. "How can I? People are going to die because of me." Amy sat him down and looked him in the eye. "Listen to me, Jake, this isn't your fault. Kretch is a killer. He's looking for any excuse to start a war. If it wasn't you, it would be something else, but no buts. You want to help? Then help us plan the rescue. Use that engineer brain of yours. Figure out how to save those people." Jake thought about it. "I'd need to know more about Kretch's base. His defenses. His fleet. Then let's go find out." Amy grinned. "I've been talking to some of the pilots here. They're good, but they think inside the box. We could show them some human tactics." They spent the rest of the night working with crystalline military planners. Jake studied the intelligence reports on Kretch's base. It was heavily defended, built into an asteroid field that made approach difficult. "A direct assault would cost too many ships," a general said. "We'd lose half our fleet just breaking through the defenses." Jake stared at the holographic display. The asteroid field was the key. It protected Kretch's base, but it could also hide ships. "What if we don't go through the front door?" "Explain," the general said. "The asteroid field blocks your sensors, right? Works both ways. If we send small teams in, using the asteroids as cover, we could get close without being detected, then we hit multiple points at once, confuse their defenses. Our ships are too large for that kind of maneuver." "Ours aren't," Amy said. "Human fighters are smaller, more maneuverable. We could thread through those asteroids easy." The crystalline officers looked doubtful, but then one of the younger ones spoke up. "The human's right. We've been thinking about this like a traditional battle, but this isn't traditional. We need to adapt." Over the next 2 days, they planned the rescue. Commander Griffin agreed to send fighters from the horizon's edge. Crystalline pilots trained alongside human pilots, learning each other's tactics. Jake designed a hybrid communication system that would let both species coordinate in battle. The night before the rescue mission, Vela came to Jake's room. She looked exhausted. Through the bond, he felt the weight she carried. "You should rest," Jake said. "I can't. Every time I close my eyes, I see those people suffering. We're going to save them. You don't know that. This could fail. I could lose everything." Jake took her hands. They'd become closer over the past month, but they'd both been careful not to push too far. The bond was one thing. Actually falling for each other was another. But looking at her now, vulnerable and scared, Jake realized he'd stopped fighting it. "I believe in you," he said. "I believe in us. Whatever happens tomorrow, we face it together." Vela's eyes shimmered. Crystalline people didn't cry, but he felt her emotions through the bond. Gratitude, fear, and something deeper that she was afraid to name. "If we survive this," she said softly, "I want to know you better, not as the queen and her consort, just as Vela and Jake." "I'd like that." She leaned forward and pressed her forehead to his. It was a crystalline gesture of deep affection. Energy flowed between them through the bond, stronger than ever before. The rescue fleet departed at dawn, 15 crystalline warships and 20 human fighters. Jake insisted on going despite Vela's objections. He wasn't a pilot, but he could coordinate the teams from Amy's fighter. The journey to Kretch's base took 6 hours. As they approached the asteroid field, Jake's stomach clenched with nervousness. Through the bond, he felt Vela watching from the palace, experiencing everything he experienced. All teams, this is Brooks, Amy said over the comm. We're going in. Stay tight and follow your flight paths. Don't be heroes. The fighters dove into the asteroid field. Jake had flown before, but never like this. Amy wove between rocks the size of buildings with casual skill. Behind them, crystalline fighters followed, their movements more hesitant but determined. Approaching target zone, a crystalline pilot reported. I have visual on the base. Jake saw it through their sensor feed. Kretsch's base was massive, carved into the largest asteroid. Weapons platforms surrounded it. Patrol ships moved in regular patterns. Wait for the signal, Jake said. We need everyone in position first. Team by team, they reported ready. Human and crystalline pilots hiding in the shadows of asteroids waiting to strike. All teams ready, Amy confirmed. Then let's go save some people, Jake said. Execute. Chaos erupted. 25 ships burst from hiding and attacked different points simultaneously. Kretsch's defenses couldn't track them all. Explosions lit up the asteroid field. Jake coordinated the teams, directing them where they were needed most. A crystalline ship took heavy damage and Jake sent 2 human fighters to cover them. A weapons platform locked onto Amy's fighter, and a crystalline cruiser destroyed it with a precise shot. They were working together. Different species, different tactics, but united in purpose. The teams breached Kretsch's base and found the prisoners. They were weak and scared, but alive. Jake watched through multiple camera feeds as crystalline soldiers carried children to safety, while human medics treated the injured. All civilians secured, a team leader reported. We're pulling out. But then alarms blared. New ships were arriving. Lots of them. It's Kretsch's main fleet, a crystalline captain reported. We're outnumbered 3-1. Jake's mind raced. They couldn't fight that many ships. Not in an asteroid field with civilians to protect. All ships fall back to extraction point Beta, Jake ordered. We're leaving, now. They'll chase us, Amy said. I know, but once we're clear of the asteroids, the main fleet can support us. The retreat was messy. Ships took damage. One human fighter was destroyed, its pilot ejecting just in time. But they made it out of the asteroid field with the civilians safe. Kretsch's fleet pursued them right into the waiting crystalline battle group. The real fight began. Jake watched it unfold, feeling helpless. Ships on both sides exploded. People died. All because of this war. All because of the hatred Kretsch carried. But slowly, working together, the combined human and crystalline forces pushed Kretsch's fleet back. The warlord's ships retreated into the asteroid field, damaged and defeated. We won, Amy breathed. We actually won. Jake felt relief flood through him. But through the bond, he felt something else. A warning from Vela, a terrible knowing. This isn't over, Jake said. Kretsch is planning something big. And he was right. As they were returning home, sensors detected a massive energy buildup in Kretsch's base. What is he doing? A crystalline officer asked. Jake studied the readings and his blood turned cold. He's going to blow it up. The whole base. The explosion will trigger a chain reaction in the asteroid field. The civilians, Amy said in horror. We saved them. We're bringing them home. But if that explosion happens, the shockwave would destroy every ship in the area. They'd all die. Jake made a decision. Amy, get everyone to maximum speed. Get those civilians to safety. What about you? Someone needs to stop that explosion, and I'm the only one who might be able to do it. Through the bond, Vela screamed his name. Jake, no. Vela's voice filled his mind through the bond. Don't do this, I have to, Jake thought back. It's the only way. Jake, you can't be serious, Amy said from the pilot's seat. That base is about to explode. If you go in there, you'll die. Maybe, maybe not. But if I don't try, everyone dies. Those civilians, our crews, everyone. Amy's hands gripped the controls so hard they shook. I hate this. I know. Get them out of here. You better survive this, Morrison. That's an order. Jake managed a weak smile. I'll do my best, Brooks. He transferred to a small shuttle, barely more than an engine with a cockpit. It was fast and maneuverable. He'd need both to reach the base in time. As he flew back toward the asteroid field, Vela's presence in his mind grew stronger. She was crying. He'd never felt her cry before. I cannot lose you, she said. Please, you won't lose me. We're bonded. I'll always be with you. That's not enough. I want you alive. I want to see you. To touch you. I want to grow old with you. Even if that means watching you age while I remain unchanged. Please, Jake, don't leave me. Her pain cut through him like a knife, but he kept flying. The asteroid field loomed ahead. Jake dove into it, following the same path they'd used earlier. But now there was no fleet to support him, no backup. Just him and a shuttle that wasn't designed for combat. Ahead, Kretsch's base glowed with building energy. Jake could see it even without sensors. The whole structure pulsed with light, brighter and brighter. Jake landed the shuttle in a damaged docking bay. The base was falling apart. Explosions echoed through the corridors. Crystal walls cracked and shattered. Emergency lights flickered. He ran through the corridors following the energy readings on his handheld scanner. The reactor was deep in the base. Kretsch had overloaded it, set it to cascade. When it went, it would vaporize everything within 1,000 kilometers. Jake reached the reactor room and stopped. Kretsch was there, waiting for him. The warlord stood in front of the reactor controls, his dark, crystalline body radiating heat. His red eyes fixed on Jake with pure hatred. The human comes to save everyone, Kretsch said mockingly. How noble. How pathetic. You don't have to do this, Jake said, keeping his distance. You've lost this battle. Just shut down the reactor and surrender. Surrender? Kretsch laughed, a sound like breaking stone. I would rather die than live in a universe where our people bond with inferior species, where our queen degrades herself with human filth. Vela didn't degrade herself. She saved your species. The bond is making her stronger, making all of you stronger. Lies. You contaminate us with your primitive biology, your weak emotions, your disgusting need for physical touch and companionship. Kretsch's voice rose to a roar. Crystalline people are pure. We are crystal and light and thought. We don't need flesh. Jake looked at the twisted creature before him. Half crystal, half machine. Pieces of metal grafted onto his body in ways that looked painful. You're afraid, Jake realized. You replace parts of yourself with machines because your crystalline body was failing. You're dying and you can't accept it. Kretsch's red eyes flared brighter. I am perfected. I have transcended the weakness of pure crystal form. You're alone, Jake said quietly. That's what you really can't accept. The bond connects people. It creates unity, and you've been alone so long you've forgotten what connection feels like. Silence. Kretsch moved toward him. I will kill you. I will break the bond, and then I will kill your queen and anyone else who betrays our purity. Jake backed up toward the reactor controls. He needed to get to them, needed to shut down the cascade before it was too late. Kretsch charged. For a big creature, he moved fast. Jake dodged barely. A crystalline fist smashed into the wall where his head had been. Jake ran around the reactor chamber. His mind raced. He couldn't fight Kretsch physically. The warlord was bigger and stronger, but maybe he didn't need to. Through the bond, Jake called to Vela. I need your help. Her presence flooded into him immediately. I'm here. What do you need? Your strength. Your energy. Everything you can give me. Jake felt power surge through the bond. Vela was channeling her crystalline energy to him across thousands of kilometers of space. His body began to glow. The silver flecks in his eyes spread, covering his hands, his arms. He was changing, becoming something between human and crystalline. The bond was transforming him. Kretsch saw the change and roared in rage. You see? This is the contamination. You corrupt everything you touch. No, Jake said. His voice echoed like Vela's did. This is evolution. This is growth. This is what happens when two species choose to help each other instead of destroying each other. Kretsch attacked again. This time Jake didn't dodge. He caught the warlord's fist. Energy crackled between them. Kretsch's strength against the combined power of Jake and Vela's bond. They were evenly matched. For a long moment neither moved. Then Jake spoke, and his words carried Vela's voice too. You could have been part of this. You could have grown and changed with us. But you chose hate. You chose isolation. And that's why you'll fail, Jake pushed. Kretsch stumbled back. Jake dove for the reactor controls. The console was in crystalline language, but through the bond he understood it. His hands moved over the controls, entering shutdown codes. The reactor's cascade was already far along. It might be too late. Kretsch grabbed him from behind, trying to pull him away. Jake held on to the console, fingers flying over the controls. He was so close. Just a few more commands, you cannot save them. Kretsch screamed. You cannot stop this. Watch me. Jake entered the final code. The reactor began to power down. The building energy started to dissipate. The pulsing light faded. Kretsch roared and threw Jake across the room. He hit the wall hard and fell to the floor. Pain exploded through his body. Through the bond, Vela screamed his name. Kretsch loomed over him. "You've stopped the reactor, but I can still kill you. I can still break the bond." He raised his crystalline fist for the final blow, but he never brought it down. Amy burst through the door, firing her weapon. The energy blast hit Kretsch in the back. He turned, surprised. Behind Amy came a squad of crystalline soldiers. "You shouldn't have come back," Jake said weakly. "Like I was going to let you die alone," Amy replied. "Besides, Vela ordered us to come get you. Turns out queens are scary when they're angry." The soldiers surrounded Kretsch. The warlord looked at them with contempt. "You serve a corrupted queen. You follow a human. You have no honor." "We have something better than honor," one of the soldiers said. "We have hope. Something you abandoned long ago." They took Kretsch into custody. Jake tried to stand, but his legs wouldn't support him. The transformation was fading, and it left him exhausted. Amy helped him to his feet. "Come on, hero. Let's get you home." The journey back to the crystalline capital took days. The rescued civilians were reunited with their families. The combined human and crystalline fleet returned to a hero's welcome. But Jake barely saw any of it. He was too tired. He woke in his rooms in the palace. Vela sat beside his bed holding his hand. Her silver eyes were wet with tears that couldn't quite fall. "You're awake," she said softly. "How long was I out?" 3 days. "The transformation took more out of you than we realized. Your body needed time to recover." Jake looked at his hands. The silver shimmer was still there, but fainter now. "Am I still changing?" "Slowly. The bond continues to affect us both. I'm becoming more human. You're becoming more crystalline. Eventually, we'll meet in the middle." She smiled. "You'll be something new. Something that's never existed before. Does that scare you?" "Terrify me," Vela admitted. "But I wouldn't change it. You saved thousands of lives. You proved that humans and crystalline can work together. You gave my people hope." "What happened to Kretsch?" "In prison. His followers are surrendering. The rebellion is over." She squeezed his hand. "You did it, Jake. You won." Jake laughed weakly. "We won. I couldn't have done any of this without you." Vela leaned down and kissed his forehead. It was a human gesture, something she'd learned from watching him. "Rest now. There's much to do when you're recovered, but it can wait." Over the next weeks, Jake recovered his strength. Earth formally recognized his marriage to Vela and signed an alliance treaty with the Crystalline Empire. The two species began sharing technology and knowledge. Human engineers trained with crystalline scientists. Crystalline philosophers studied human history and culture. Commander Griffin visited the palace. He found Jake in the garden, watching crystal flowers bloom. "You've changed the universe, Morrison," Griffin said. Earth Command is calling this the Morrison Accord. First successful alliance between humans and a non-human species. I just did what felt right. Well, it changed everything. We're not alone anymore. We have allies, friends. All because you saved a queen's life and accidentally got married. Jake grinned. "Not how I planned my career going, but I can't complain." Amy got promoted to permanent ambassador between Earth and the Crystalline Empire. She split her time between the horizon's edge and the palace, always keeping an eye on Jake. "You happy?" she asked him one evening. "Yeah," Jake said, surprised to realize it was true. "I am. This is home now." "Even though you turned into a glowing crystal person?" "I'm only partially crystalline, thank you very much." They laughed together like old times. 6 months after the battle, Vela and Jake stood on a balcony overlooking the capital city. The sun was setting, painting the crystal buildings in shades of gold and red. Human ships and crystalline vessels shared the sky, working together on construction projects. "What are you thinking?" Vela asked. "That I went to sleep as a simple engineer. And I woke up married to the most amazing person in the universe. I'm hardly amazing. You ended a war. You united two species. You saved your people. And you did it all while dealing with me stumbling through your culture like an idiot." Vela laughed, a sound Jake loved. "You weren't that bad." "Endearing, actually." Jake took her hand. The bond hummed between them, stronger than ever. "I love you." "I should have said it before, but I was scared." "I know. I could feel it." She turned to face him. "I love you too. Not because of the bond, but because of who you are. My engineer. My consort. My friend. Your husband," Jake added. "Yes, my husband. Even if the marriage started by accident. They stood together as the sun set, two beings from different worlds who had found each other against impossible odds. Below them, the city celebrated. Above them, stars appeared one by one. Jake thought about everything that had happened. The confusion and fear, the danger and the triumph, the friendships forged and the love discovered. It had been the strangest, most terrifying, most wonderful time of his life. What happens now? Jake asked. Now we build, Vela said. A future where our peoples grow together, where the bond between us becomes a bond between worlds, where no one has to be alone. No pressure, right? None at all. Jake pulled her close. Through the bond, their thoughts intertwined, their hopes and dreams, their fears and joys. They were two individuals, but also one, separate but connected. In the distance, a human ship docked at a crystalline station. Children of both species played in the streets below. Scientists worked together in laboratories. Pilots trained side by side. The future stretched ahead, full of possibility. Jake Morrison had gone to sleep alone, just another engineer on just another ship. He'd awakened married to an alien queen, thrust into a role he never wanted. But looking at Vela now, feeling the bond that connected them, seeing the world they were building together, he wouldn't change a thing. Sometimes the best adventures begin with the most unlikely circumstances. Sometimes the greatest love stories start with accidents. Sometimes fate knows what it's doing even when we don't. Jake had learned that the hard way, and he was grateful for every strange, impossible moment of it.